Hello everyone, the Snowman here, and it's been a couple of months since I've done a tennis tournament preview video, but the draw is officially out for the final Grand Slam of the year. So today I want to talk about the US Open. Right now we'll talk about the men's draw. Please check out my women's preview as well, but I've got a feeling it's going to be a very special tournament with Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic all tied up at 20 Grand Slams apiece. So let's dive in, talk about this men's US Open draw. Now unfortunately there is a litany of injuries on the men's side. Two of the big three won't be in New York. Roger Federer withdrawing with a knee injury, Rafa Nadal with an ongoing foot problem, so no Roger or Rafa. It's the first time since 1997 that we don't have Fed, Nadal, or Serena Williams at the US Open. Also, the defending champion Dominic Thiem is out with a serious wrist injury. No Wawrinka, Raonic, or Del Potro as well. Of course, all eyes though will be on Novak Djokovic and his quest for the calendar Grand Slam, something that's only been done once in the Open era on the men's side. Rocket Rod Laver winning all four majors back in 1969. Steffi Graf and Margaret Court have done it on the women's side, but it's extremely rare to see a player dominate the big tournaments like Novak has done this season. The blowout versus Medvedev down under, the comeback wins in the other finals against Tsitsipas and Berrettini. If he wins this US Open, it'll be his fourth title at this major and 21st major overall. That would break the aforementioned tie with Fed and Rafa. So it seems like Joker has been chasing those two gentlemen his entire career, but this is his chance to perhaps usurp their on-court accomplishments. Worth noting that Djokovic did lose to a red-hot Sasha Zverev at the Olympics. He lost to Carreño Busta in the bronze medal match as well, but Novak didn't play Toronto, didn't play Cincinnati. He's just been resting and preparing, so I expect him to be 100% locked in. Don't count on another self-implosion like last year in New York. He's going to have no problem that guys like Fed, Nadal, Thiem, and Wawrinka are all out of this event, and I think Novak will be quite pleased with this draw. David Goffin and Alex de Minaur don't really have the firepower to trouble the Serbian. The only man who can maybe give him a challenge before the quarters is Aslan Karatsev. He did beat Djokovic in a thriller in Belgrade earlier this season. Also, the number 10 seed Hubert Hurkacz's ascension can't be ignored. He won Miami, beat Medvedev and Federer at Wimbledon. Just so tough to hit through on hard courts, especially slower hard courts. Gave Medvedev a very challenging match in Toronto where he actually won 10 more points total than the Russian, but lost a couple of tiebreakers to the eventual champ Medvedev. So he's a weird X factor, someone who can toss a monkey wrench into this draw. That's Hurkacz. Some Italian flavor towards the bottom here. Sonego, Fonini, and number 6 Matteo Berrettini. He's been pretty quiet since the breakthrough major final at Wimbledon. Only just made his return in Cincinnati last week. Lost to his good buddy FAA. Matteo will be hoping for another crack at Joker in the quarterfinals, but I'd favor Hurkacz to make it through before losing to Djokovic in this first quarter. A very interesting second section. We've got the 4-seed Alexander Zverev, who in my opinion is the biggest threat to Djokovic's attempts at a calendar slam. Sasha comes into New York riding high on an 11-match winning streak and such an emotional triumph in Tokyo to win the gold medal in singles. Had the comeback win over Novak in the semifinals before knocking off Khachanov in the final. Then he took off Toronto, came back for Cincinnati, and just blitzed through the competition. That final versus Rublev took just 59 minutes, absolutely one-sided. Zverev winning something like 91% of points on his first serve to claim his fourth career Masters 1000 trophy. And that's why I think Zverev is the second title favorite over Medvedev or Tsitsipas, because of the upside of the serve when he's clicking. Nobody else has the easy firepower like Zverev does. He can get some free points and still hang with Joker on baseline rallies. Zverev was a mere 2 points away from winning this title last year. Remember that epic final against Dominic Thiem? The German has to be feeling like this is his time. Despite his 0-10 record against top 10 players in Grand Slams, best of 5 sets hasn't always brought out the best in Sasha. Also, despite the fact that Sam Querrey will not be an easy first-round opponent for Zverev, Alexander Bublik, the other seed in Zverev's mini section, and then one row down is number 17 Gael Monfils. But I think Sasha's largest hurdle will be the 13 seed Jannik Sinner, who just won the biggest title of his young career last month in DC. Didn't make too much noise in Cincy or Toronto, but Sinner is a player who people are just waiting for him to make a deep run at a major, has every every tool in the toolbox, all the intangibles and makings of a superstar down the road. Pablo Carreño Busta then defending a lot of points from the semifinal run in New York last year. I could see big Riley Opelka defeating him in the third round. And Denis Shapovalov is the 7th seed. Shapo continues to be one of the most high variance players on the tour, experiencing the highs of a Wimbledon semifinal over the summer. Also the lows of a current 4-match losing streak, losses to Tiafoe and Benoit Paire in Canada and Cincy respectively. But if I'm picking a player outside of the main 4 guys to make a deep run, Shapo's ceiling is always going to make him an interesting proposition. Sign me up for Shapovalov Khachanov in the third round, a rematch of their 5-setter at Wimbledon. Overall, though, I'll stick with Zverev in section number 2. Bottom half of the draw, and with no Nadal or team, that means that world number 7, Andrei Rublev, is the 5 seed in New York. Rublev not quite at the same level as Medvedev, Tsitsipas, or Zverev, but he's slowly starting to make inroads at the premier events. His second Masters 1000 final appearance in Cincy. Sure, he got bulldozed by Zverev in the final, but I actually came away from that match feeling good about his future, like he can be a top 3 player, maybe even a world number 1, because there's still a ton of holes in Rublev's game. He's sort of gotten to the top 10, mostly off the sheer power of his forehand. But if he can improve his second serve, I think he can improve his volleying and finishing points off at the net. He's still got room to grow in terms of movement and variety in his ground stroke. So I've got a very positive outlook on Rublev's future. And we've got to talk about 2 phenomenal first-round matches now. Number 1, the 18 seed Roberto Bautista Agut against the incomparable Nick Kyrgios. Nick hasn't been the healthiest lately, but you never want to see him in the first round of a Grand Slam. That's 2 of the best forehands in the world. Both players will be peppering the backhand corner, trying to stay in control of the rallies. I'm hoping Kyrgios brings his A game. And then number 2, you can't ask for a more marketable first round match, maybe other than Djokovic Murray, but at the bottom we have the 3-time Grand Slam champion Sir Andy Murray against the 3 seed Stefanos Tsitsipas. And when you talk about consistency, Tsitsipas has been the man to beat this year. 48 match wins in 2021 to lead the ATP Tour, even more than Djokovic. He's second in the ATP Finals race to Turin. He played a really fun semifinal match in Cincy against Zverev, where Steph had like an 8-minute bathroom break between. A lot of controversy there, but it went to a third set tiebreaker. Tsitsipas yet to break through, though, in New York, never been past the third round at the US Open. And I think between the top 4 seeds, Steph is the most likely one to get upset in the first week of this major. For Murray, the third round run at Wimby was awesome to watch. It's incredible to watch a champion empty the tank, but my vision of an epic 5-setter for this match is really based off of my heart, not my head. We'll see if Murray can hang in there, make some magic happen. I think this is definitely the most wide open section. I could see Auger Aliassime, any number of guys making it through to the semis. And turning our attention to the final of the 4 sections, number 8, Casper Ruud is having a tremendous season, 39-11, somewhat under the radar to casual fans. 4 titles this year, all on clay. But Ruud starting to make a name as more than just a clay court specialist. Quarterfinals in both Toronto and Cincy. Ruud will battle the veteran Frenchman Jo-Wilfried Tsonga in the first round. Number 19, John Isner, and his Laver Cup teammate, number 11, Diego Schwartzman, in this part of the draw too. I like Isner to serve his way to the 4th round or even the quarterfinals. Former U.S. Open finalist Kevin Anderson in that mini section. The other top seeds here, Dimitrov, Evans, Cilic. None of those names really jump off the page for me, but at the bottom lies world number 2, Daniil Medvedev, who's starting to put together a summer hardcourt run that feels reminiscent of his magical 2019. Medvedev, like Zverev, winning his 4th Masters 1000 title this month. That was in Toronto. He cruised past the serve bots, Isner and Opelka, in the final matches there. Hurkacz did give him a stern test in the quarters, but Medi would have been in the final of Cincy as well, if not for Andrei Rublev catching fire and scorching winners past his Russian contemporary. So Medvedev probably the biggest winner with this draw, in my opinion. Gasquet, very manageable in the first round. Cilic has fallen off a cliff compared to where he was a few years ago. We mentioned Medi had no problem with Isner in Montreal. And if it does come down to Medvedev Tsitsipas in the semifinals, the Russian holds the 6-2 head-to-head lead over the Greek. It's 5-1 on hard courts. So I feel pretty good about the chances of seeing Medvedev in the final in 2 weeks' time. And like I said, if Djokovic handles his business, only an A-plus performance from Zverev can beat him on that half of the bracket. It might be a boring pick, but if my life depended on it, I pick Djokovic over Medvedev in the final. I really hope my life will not depend on it, though. All right, thanks a lot for watching my men's 2021 US Open draw preview. Please check out my women's draw preview as well if you have time, but leave a comment. I'd love to know your thoughts about this draw. Let me know who you think will prevail in Flushing Meadows, and don't forget to subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media for more tennis content and preview videos. Cheers!